My husband's car insurance sent me photos from his accident report, and I noticed he wasn't alone in the car. The woman in the passenger seat was his coworker, who I'd been told not to worry about. I found her fiancé on social media and sent him everything. Now 2 relationships are over and 4 lives are destroyed, but I don't regret a thing. I, 29F, am sitting in my childhood bedroom at my parents' house, staring at insurance documents that destroyed my 5-year marriage. My husband, Tyler, 31M, is blowing up my phone with calls and texts I'm not answering. The woman from the photos has apparently been kicked out by her fiancé. And I'm here trying to figure out how I missed the signs for so long. Let me start from the beginning. Tyler and I met when I was 24, fresh out of grad school with my master's in education. He was 26, working as an account manager at a marketing firm. We were introduced by mutual friends at a barbecue, hit it off immediately, and were inseparable after that. He was charming, funny, ambitious, everything I thought I wanted. We got engaged after 1.5 years, married 6 months later. The first few years were good. We bought a small house in a decent neighborhood, adopted a cat named Oliver, settled into our routines. I taught middle school English. Tyler worked his way up to senior account manager. We had a solid friend group, took nice vacations, talked about starting a family in a few years. Nothing extraordinary, but comfortable. Happy, I thought. About 8 months ago, Tyler's company hired a new project coordinator named Melanie. Tyler mentioned her casually, said she seemed competent, had good ideas, was helping streamline some of their workflows. I didn't think much of it. Tyler worked with lots of people. He mentioned colleagues all the time. But then Melanie started coming up more frequently in conversation. Melanie had this brilliant idea for the campaign. Melanie and I grabbed lunch to discuss the project timeline. Melanie's really turning the department around. It was always work-related, always professional sounding, but the frequency felt notable. Then Tyler started working late more often. He'd always occasionally stayed after hours during busy periods, but suddenly he was at the office until 8 or 9 p.m. several nights a week. When I'd ask about it, he'd mention a big project he and Melanie were collaborating on, a major client account that required extra attention. It's just temporary, he'd assure me. Once we land this account, things will calm down. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? Tyler had never given me a reason not to trust him. And he did seem busy, distracted, tired, stressed. He'd come home, eat the dinner I'd kept warm for him, and zone out in front of the TV before bed. Our conversations became shorter, our sex life less frequent. But I chalked it up to work stress. Lots of couples go through busy seasons. Around the same time, Tyler started going to the gym more. He'd always been casually active, but suddenly he was there 5 days a week. He bought new workout clothes, started paying more attention to his appearance, tried a new hairstyle. When I complimented him on looking good, he said he'd just decided to take his health more seriously. He was 31, wanted to get in better shape before it became harder. Made sense. He also got cagey about his phone. Not in an obvious way. He didn't change his passcode or anything, but he started keeping it face down more, taking calls in other rooms, tilting the screen away from me when he was texting. When I'd walk into a room, he'd sometimes quickly switch what he was looking at on his phone. Small things. Easy to dismiss individually, but adding up to a pattern. 3 months ago, I met Melanie at a company happy hour. Tyler's firm was celebrating landing a major account, the one he and Melanie had supposedly been working so hard on. Spouses were invited. I was actually looking forward to it. Tyler and I hadn't been out together much lately, and I wanted to see what his work life was like. Melanie was pretty, I'll admit that up front. Late 20s, long dark hair, great style, confident. When Tyler introduced us, something about her energy felt off. She was friendly but not warm, professional but slightly territorial. And the way she and Tyler interacted, lots of inside jokes, finishing each other's sentences, a familiarity that felt more than just collegial. "So you're the infamous Melanie," I said, smiling, trying to be friendly. "Tyler talks about you all the time." "Does he?" She glanced at Tyler with a look I couldn't quite read. "All good things, I hope." "Of course. He says you're brilliant at what you do." "We make a good team," she said, And again there was a look between them that made me uncomfortable. Later that night, I mentioned to Tyler that Melanie seemed nice, but that something about her vibe toward me had felt cold. "You're reading into it," Tyler said dismissively. "She's just not a super warm person. Very professional. That's why she's good at her job." It seemed like more than that. Like maybe she doesn't like me? Why would she not like you? She doesn't even know you. He seemed irritated by the conversation. "Can we not do this? It was a nice night. Can we just leave it at that?" So I dropped it. But the feeling nagged at me. A few weeks after the happy hour, I was doing laundry and found a receipt in Tyler's pants pocket. Nothing scandalous, just a dinner receipt from a nice Italian restaurant downtown. But it was from a Wednesday night, a night Tyler had told me he was working late. And it was for 2 people, 2 entrees, 2 glasses of wine, an appetizer, dessert. Nearly $150. When I asked him about it, he explained it away easily. "Oh, yeah, Melanie and I had a working dinner with a potential client. The client bailed last minute, but we'd already ordered, so we just went ahead and ate. I meant to expense it but forgot." "You didn't mention having a dinner meeting, didn't I?" "I thought I did. It was right after that whole presentation thing, remember?" I didn't remember, but maybe I'd forgotten. I was busy with my own work. Middle schoolers were doing state testing, and I'd been bringing home stacks of essays to grade. Maybe he had mentioned it, and it hadn't registered. But I held on to the receipt. I don't know why. Stuck it in my nightstand drawer, like some kind of talisman. Then came the business trip. 2 weeks ago, Tyler told me he and Melanie needed to fly to Chicago for a conference. 3 days, Wednesday through Friday. Their company was sending them to network, attend workshops, scope out potential clients. "Why both of you?" I asked. "Seems like one person could handle it." "We're co-leading the new business development initiative," Tyler explained. "Makes sense for us both to be there. Plus, it's good for Melanie to get this kind of exposure. She's newer to the company." Something about it bothered me, but I couldn't articulate why. It was a work trip. To a conference. With other colleagues presumably there too. Totally normal. Professional. Nothing suspicious. Except Tyler seemed excited about it in a way that felt off. He was practically upbeat that Wednesday morning when he left for the airport, kissing me goodbye, promising to call when he landed. And when he did call that evening, he sounded energized, happy, telling me about the flight, the hotel, the opening reception. He sounded more alive than he'd been in months. He texted throughout the trip, updates about sessions they attended, jokes about boring speakers, photos of the Chicago skyline from his hotel window. Everything seemed normal, explainable, innocent. Friday evening, Tyler came home from the airport, full of stories about the conference. He'd made good connections, learned new strategies, even picked up some deep dish pizza from O'Hare for us to share. We ate it on the couch, and for the first time in weeks, it felt like we were actually connecting. Then this past Monday morning, everything fell apart. I was at school during my planning period when I got an email from our car insurance company. Subject line: accident report and photos. Claim number 847392. My stomach dropped. Accident? I opened the email, heart pounding. The message said Tyler had been in a minor collision the previous Friday evening, the night he'd returned from Chicago. No one was injured, minimal damage, the other party's insurance was accepting fault, but they needed to send me the documentation since I was listed as a secondary policyholder on Tyler's vehicle. Attached were several photos documenting the accident. The other car, a Honda Civic, had backed into Tyler's SUV in a parking lot, leaving a decent-sized dent in the front bumper and a cracked headlight. The damage wasn't terrible, but it was definitely noticeable. I was confused. Tyler hadn't mentioned an accident. His car had been in the driveway all weekend, and I hadn't noticed any damage. I'd have to look more carefully when I got home. I clicked through the photos. Different angles of the dent. Close-ups of the cracked headlight. A wide shot showing both vehicles and the parking lot. And then I saw it. One of the photos, taken from about 15 feet away to show the full accident scene, captured the interior of Tyler's SUV through the windshield. Tyler was visible in the driver's seat, looking annoyed, probably talking to the other driver. And Melanie was clearly visible in the passenger seat. I stared at the photo.
Zoomed in.
There was no mistaking it. Same dark hair. Same face I'd met at that happy hour. Melanie was in Tyler's car. On Friday evening. The day they'd supposedly returned from their business trip to Chicago. But why would she be in his car? They'd flown to Chicago together, presumably landed in the same city, so why wouldn't they have just parted ways at the airport? Why was she in his car at 8:47 p.m., according to the timestamp on the photo, on a Friday night? I looked at the location metadata on the photos. The accident had occurred in a parking lot across the street from a hotel. Not near the airport. Not near her house. Not near Melanie's apartment, which I assumed was somewhere near the office, though I didn't actually know where she lived. A hotel parking lot. My hands were shaking. I went back through the email, looking for more details. The accident report listed Tyler's insurance information, the other driver's information, and under occupants of Vehicle 1 it listed driver, Tyler, last name, passenger, Melanie, last name. So there was documentation. Official documentation that Melanie had been in Tyler's car at a hotel parking lot at 8:47 p.m. on a Friday night. I couldn't breathe. The classroom walls felt like they were closing in. I told my department head I was feeling sick, which wasn't a lie, and needed to leave for the day. She covered my last 2 periods, and I drove home in a daze. When I got there, I went straight to the driveway to look at Tyler's car. Sure enough, there was the dent in the front bumper, the cracked headlight. Damage I'd somehow failed to notice all weekend, probably because I hadn't been looking for it, and Tyler always parked on his side of the garage. I went inside and pulled out my laptop. I needed to think clearly, logically. Maybe there was an innocent explanation. Maybe they'd shared a ride from the airport to save money. Maybe the hotel parking lot was, what? Near a restaurant they'd stopped at? I looked up the hotel. It was a Marriott about 40 minutes from the airport, nowhere near our house or Tyler's office. I checked their Chicago flight information. I had access to his email. They'd landed at 3:15 p.m. on Friday. The accident happened at 8:47 p.m. 5.5 hours between landing and the accident. What had they been doing for 5.5 hours before ending up at a hotel parking lot together? I knew. Of course I knew. But I needed to confirm it before I did anything. I looked up Melanie on social media. Her Instagram was public. I scrolled through her posts, lots of professional photos, some pictures with friends, travel shots. And there, from 3 months ago, a photo of her with a man. The caption, he said yes. Ring can't wait to marry my best friend. #engaged, #futuremersumers. Melanie was engaged. I clicked on the tag man's profile. Andrew, 30 years old, worked in finance according to his bio. His Instagram was also public. Lots of photos of him and Melanie together, hiking trips, dinner dates, concerts. They looked happy. In love. Did Andrew know his fiancée had been in my husband's car at a hotel parking lot on a Friday night? I spent the rest of Monday afternoon going through everything. Tyler's credit card statements. I had access to our joint account. Hotel charges that lined up with the Chicago trip. But wait. 2 rooms?
No.
1 room. 1 hotel room in Chicago for 3 nights. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Nearly $900 total. If they were just colleagues at a conference, wouldn't the company book separate rooms? Or maybe the company had only agreed to pay for 1 room and they'd shared it. That seemed unlikely. Inappropriate at minimum. Even if nothing was happening. I checked the company's expense policy. Tyler had showed it to me once when explaining why he couldn't expense something. Company policy was clear. Separate hotel rooms for all employees on business travel unless otherwise specified by management and agreed upon by both employees in writing. So either Tyler and Melanie had violated company policy by sharing a room, or Tyler had paid for a second room out of pocket and I just couldn't find the charge. Or, more likely, they'd only booked 1 room because they were sleeping together. I checked his credit card statements going back 6 months. Multiple charges I didn't recognize. Restaurants I'd never been to, on days Tyler said he was working late. Flowers, lots of flower purchases, none of which I'd ever received. A jewelry charge from 4 months ago for $350. I'd never gotten any jewelry. The evidence was overwhelming. Tyler had been having an affair with Melanie. They'd probably been sleeping together for months. The Chicago business trip was just a cover for a romantic getaway. And they'd gotten so comfortable, so careless, that they'd ended up in his car together the night they returned, heading to or from another hotel, where some inattentive driver backed into them and their affair got documented in an insurance report. When Tyler got home from work Monday evening, I was sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop open, the insurance photos pulled up on the screen. "Hey babe," he called out cheerfully as he walked in. "What's for dinner?"
Come here, I said.
My voice sounded strange, flat, emotionless. Tyler walked into the kitchen, loosening his tie. He saw my face and his smile faded. "What's wrong?" I turned the laptop around so he could see the photo. The one with him in the driver's seat and Melanie clearly visible beside him. The color drained from his face. "Where did you get that?" "From our insurance company. They sent me the accident report from Friday night. The accident you forgot to mention." I kept my voice steady. "Want to explain why Melanie was in your car? At a hotel? At 8:47 on a Friday night?" Tyler's mouth opened and closed. "I can explain."
Can you?
Because I've been trying all day to think of an innocent explanation, and I can't come up with one. After we landed, she needed a ride. For 5.5 hours? From 3:15 when you landed until 8:47 when someone hit your car? That's one hell of a long ride, Tyler. We stopped for dinner. At a hotel? Near a hotel. There's a restaurant there. Stop lying. I slammed my hand on the table. Oliver, the cat, darted out of the room. I know about Chicago. I know you shared a hotel room. I know about all the restaurants and flowers and jewelry I've never seen. I know you've been fucking her. Tyler sank into a chair, his head in his hands. We sat in silence for a long moment. Then, quietly, "How long have you known?" "I didn't know anything until this morning when our insurance company helpfully documented your affair. But I've suspected something was wrong for months. It's not what you think." "What do I think, Tyler?"
Tell me.
"What do I think is happening?" He didn't answer. "You're having an affair with Melanie. You've been sleeping with her for months. You took her on a romantic trip to Chicago disguised as a work conference. And you've been lying to me every single day." My voice cracked. "Is that not what's happening?" "I never meant for this to happen," Tyler said weakly. "That's not a denial." He looked up at me, and I saw it in his face. Guilt, yes, but also something else. Resignation. Like he was almost relieved to be caught. "I love her," he said. Those 3 words shattered something in me. Not it was a mistake. Not it didn't mean anything. But I love her. "How long?" I asked. "We started getting close around February. Things became more than professional in April. 6 months. He'd been in love with another woman for 6 months while coming home to me every night, kissing me goodbye every morning, sleeping in our bed. Does she know you're married?" Tyler had the decency to look ashamed. "Yes." "And she doesn't care?" "It's complicated. It's really not. She's engaged, Tyler. Did you know that? Did you know your mistress is planning a wedding to another man?" His face showed surprise. He hadn't known. "Yeah, I found her Instagram. Her fiancé's name is Andrew. He seems nice. I wonder if he knows she's been fucking you in hotel rooms." "OP, please. Please what? Please understand? Please forgive you? Please keep your dirty little secret?" I stood up. "Get out. This is my house too. I don't care. Get out. Go stay with Melanie. Or get a hotel room, you seem to like those. But get out of my sight." Tyler tried to argue, but I walked upstairs and locked myself in our bedroom. I heard him moving around downstairs, heard the front door open and close. When I looked out the window, his car was pulling out of the driveway. I didn't cry. Not then. I was too angry, too numb, too focused on what I needed to do next. I opened my laptop and pulled up Andrew's Instagram profile again. I screenshotted several of his recent posts to get his handle. Then I created a burner Instagram account, nothing identifiable, just a generic username. And I sent him a DM. Hi, Andrew. You don't know me, but I need to tell you something about Melanie. My husband has been having an affair with her for 6 months. They just returned from a trip to Chicago together where they shared a hotel room. I have proof, photos from an insurance accident report that show her in his car on Friday night. I'm attaching them here. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but if I was in your position, I'd want to know. You deserve better than someone who would do this to you. I attached 3 photos. The wide shot showing Melanie clearly in the passenger seat, a close-up I'd cropped and enhanced to make her face unmistakable, and a screenshot of the accident report showing both their names listed as occupants of the vehicle. Then I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Some people might say what I did was vindictive, that I should have stayed in my lane, handled my own marriage, let Andrew figure out his own relationship. But here's how I saw it. Melanie had knowingly participated in destroying my marriage. She'd slept with my husband, gone on romantic trips with him, all while planning her own wedding to another man. Andrew deserved to know what kind of person he was about to marry. And maybe, in some small way, forwarding that information balanced the scales. I didn't hear anything back from Andrew that night. I didn't expect to. I took screenshots of everything, the insurance photos, Tyler's credit card statements, the Chicago hotel booking, everything I'd found. I sent copies to my email and to a cloud storage account. Evidence, in case I needed it for divorce proceedings. Then I called my parents and told them what happened. My mom cried. My dad got angry, said Tyler was a goddamn fool, and I could come stay with them as long as I needed. I packed a bag, grabbed Oliver and his cat supplies, and drove to my parents' house that night. Tuesday morning, I called in sick to work. I couldn't face a classroom of 13-year-olds while my life was imploding. I stayed in bed until noon, then finally checked my phone. 17 missed calls from Tyler. 9 voicemails. Dozens of texts ranging from apologetic to angry to desperate. I didn't respond to any of them. But there was also a DM on Instagram from Andrew. Thank you for telling me. I confronted Melanie last night with the photos. She admitted everything. The engagement is off. I appreciate you reaching out, even though this is the worst thing I've ever found out. I'm sorry you're going through this too. So it was done. Both relationships were over. For people's lives upended because 2 selfish people couldn't keep their pants on. I responded, I'm sorry it turned out this way, but you deserve to know the truth. I hope you're able to heal from this. Wednesday, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hi, is this OP? A woman's voice. Not Melanie. Yes, who's this? My name is Rachel. I work with Tyler and Melanie. Listen, I don't know you, but I wanted you to know that Melanie is apparently freaking out. She came into work this morning crying, saying her fiancé broke up with her because someone sent him proof of the affair. Tyler's been in the conference room with HR all morning. I think they're both about to be fired. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because I always suspected something was going on between them, and it pissed me off. They were so obvious about it. The long lunches, the closed-door meetings, the trip to Chicago. Everyone in the office could see it. And I'm tired of women like Melanie who go after married men and face no consequences. So, I wanted you to know that she's finally facing consequences. Her relationship is over. Her reputation at work is destroyed. She's getting what she deserves. And Tyler too. They're both getting what they deserve. Rachel and I talked for a few more minutes. She filled me in on office gossip I'd never known. Apparently Tyler and Melanie's chemistry had been noticeable to everyone. The Chicago trip had raised eyebrows. People had talked. But no one had said anything to me because they didn't want to get involved or weren't sure if their suspicions were correct. After we hung up, I felt a grim satisfaction. Yes, my marriage was over. Yes, I was heartbroken and angry and grieving. But at least I wasn't the only one suffering. Tyler and Melanie had blown up their lives too. And unlike me, they'd done it to themselves. Thursday, Tyler showed up at my parents' house. My dad answered the door, and I heard raised voices. I came downstairs to find my dad blocking the doorway, arms crossed. She doesn't want to see you, Dad was saying. I just need to talk to her. Tyler's voice was desperate. Please, Opie, just give me 5 minutes. I appeared behind my dad. What do you want, Tyler? I want to explain. There's nothing to explain. You cheated. You lied. You told me you loved her. What else is there? I made a mistake. You made a choice. Hundreds of choices. Every time you texted her, every time you met her for lunch, every time you slept with her, every time you came home and lied to my face. Those were choices. I know. I know I screwed up. But we can work through this. No, we can't. I don't want to work through this. I want a divorce. Tyler's face crumpled. Don't do this. Please. I love you. You love me? I laughed bitterly. You loved me so much you spent 6 months fucking your coworker? I can end it with her. I will end it. It's already over. She's furious with me about the whole Andrew thing. Wait, she's mad at you? She's mad because her fiancé found out she's a cheater. She thinks you were vindictive for telling him. Vindictive? Vindictive. I stepped forward, anger flooding through me. She destroyed my marriage, and I'm vindictive for letting her fiancé know what kind of person he's marrying? She's lucky all I did was send him photos. I could have done so much worse. I know you're angry. I'm not just angry, Tyler. I'm done. I'm done with you, done with this marriage, done with pretending like we can fix something this broken. You killed us. You and Melanie. And now you both get to live with the consequences. My dad put his hand on my shoulder. I think you should leave, he told Tyler. OP said what she needed to say. The lawyers can handle the rest. Tyler looked between us, seemed to realize he wasn't going to get anywhere, and finally left. I watched his car pull away and felt nothing. No sadness. No regret. Just relief that he was gone. It's been a week since then. I've hired a divorce lawyer. Tyler's been served with papers. I'm still staying with my parents, looking at apartments I can afford on my teacher's salary. The house will have to be sold. Neither of us can buy out the other's half. From what I've heard through various channels, Tyler and Melanie were both fired from their company for violating the ethics policy regarding workplace relationships and misusing company funds. The Chicago trip, Melanie moved back to her parents' house in another state. Andrew put all her stuff in storage and changed his locks. Tyler is staying with his brother and apparently trying to get Melanie to talk to him. She's blocked his number. The story has made its way through our social circle. Most people have been supportive of me, horrified at what Tyler did. A few mutual friends have tried to stay neutral, which effectively means I've cut them out. People keep asking me if I regret sending those photos to Andrew. If I feel guilty for ruining Melanie's engagement. And my answer is no. Not even a little bit. Here's the thing, I didn't ruin Melanie's engagement. Melanie ruined her own engagement by cheating on her fiancé with a married man. I simply provided information that Andrew deserved to have before he legally tied himself to someone capable of that level of deception. If the roles were reversed, if Andrew had been the one cheating with a married woman, I'd want someone to tell me. In fact, I'd be grateful someone told me before I married him.